Hello, welcome YouTubers and Patreon members. Thanks for joining me on these live streams. These are daily live streams where I answer questions and demonstrate my stuff, materials that I post on Patreon. That's really what it's for. A lot of these will be um, the tabs and stuff will be free to the public and stuff too. You don't necessarily have to be a Patreon member unless I'm going over a particular arrangement or etude. In that case, it's kind of Patreon content. Type in the chat who you are, where you're at. Love to see some familiar names. It's been a while. I've been quite busy, but still posting daily on Patreon. Thanks for being a Patreon member for those in my Patreon community. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get started on today's topic, which is arpeggios. This is a topic that is really popular. It's probably one of the most important things. There are three important things if you're playing specifically uh, jazz guitar or anything that's really improvised: chords, scales, and arpeggios. Arpeggios are just broken chords, by the way, but it's kind of a mystery on how to approach practicing and learning it. So I'm going to share my secrets today, and then of course a lot of etudes on Patreon for you to practice and apply the materials to. So I'm going to go ahead and load up. If you want to grab it, the tabs are for free. The link is in the description, and I'm going to load up. There's also a sound slice you can practice with this sound slice that I'm going to load up right now. And it's a complete arpeggio study for the sixth and seventh chords, the most important chords to know, especially if you're going to be playing some jazz standards. And but it could be applied to anything really. This is assuming also that you've already done a pretty good triad study. That's when I usually say, okay, now you're ready for seventh chords. Triads are the foundation. So make sure you don't overlook triads. So I'm going to load this up, and we're going to go through some topics. And if you want to type in the chat, please feel free to do so. And we'll get started right now. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. This is a live stream from my daily live streams. I'm going to try to resume. I did this last year too. This is always in September, as it's my anniversary month on Patreon. 7 years on Patreon. I know some of you have been with me for 7 years, and that's amazing. Thank you so much for being a Patreon member and being a part of the community. And it's a wonderful community. I mean, that's all I can say is that it's kept me practicing and playing throughout the pandemic. And, every day I'll find some new things to practice for my own materials and by requests for Patreon members. So this particular lesson today, I was not planning on covering arpeggios, but I had a great diamond tier lesson. Diamond's the highest tier on Patreon where we get a private lesson. I had a great diamond tier lesson this morning, and we were going through arpeggios, and I was going through this worksheet, and I actually found a correction. So I was like, oh, I better correct it. And I was like, I better just do a live stream on it too. So that way you can all grab the updated PDF and tabs. So make sure you've got your guitar. One thing that's very important is for this study is make sure you know your chords. So I'm going to do this really fast. G6, G minor 6. This is 6-string root. G major 7, G dominant 7, G minor 7, G minor 7 flat 5, and G dim 7. So you want to make sure you have your 6 chords and your 7th chords. Those are the basics, for jazz especially. And then on the 6-string root, same thing. C6, C minor 6, C major 7, C dominant 7. I'm going to follow the same order for the arpeggios: C minor 7 flat 5 and C dim 7. Okay, make sure you have those chords down, what I call the grip chord shapes, and then now the 2-octave arpeggios. If you just do 1 octave, I generally nickname that as easy arpeggios. So the 2-octave arpeggios, I'm going to call them 2-octave arpeggios. Sometimes lately I've been calling them double arpeggios when it goes up 2 octaves. So basically we just want to have the chord G major 7 and the arpeggio that would go with it: G dominant 7, minor 7. Okay, so we'll go through that really slowly. Make sure you know your formulas. It's not about playing it fast. You just want to make music from it. You want to target these notes that's kind of what the deal is on doing. It's not just blazing through it to show that you know your arpeggios, but we want to make sure we can also make some music for it. So that's where I usually recommend song standards such as Autumn Leaves, All the Things You Are, Blue Bossa, Fly Me to the Moon. These are just some of the great jazz standards to be practicing and have in your repertoire. Black Orpheus, Days of Wine and Roses. Okay, so again, that's the application for these seventh chords is songs. And you might, maybe a Beatles song, whatever you like. You can add sevenths and sixes on. Okay, don't feel shy about typing in the comments. If you're watching this on Patreon, I do recommend that you click over to the YouTube part so it brings you over to YouTube, and then that way you can comment and chat, because I like to see which Patreon members are watching these. And if there's enough following, I'll try to do these daily. And again, it's my goal. But of course, if there's low turnout and no comments, then most likely I will not. But these, I do share bonus videos quite often on Patreon. It's usually called morning practice and process videos, where I go through a song and I analyze it and I show you my chords that I like, whatever, everything, soloing and scales and arpeggios and stuff like that, and go through etudes and my favorite soloing hacks. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up now. Enough talk. And this is the seventh chord study. Again, you can grab this and it's for free. It's just my own little method here. G6. Okay, you got the chord shape on top, G major 6, 1, 3, 5, 6. That's your formula. And then here's how I play it with the arpeggio: 1, 3, 5, 6. Now, immediately, a lot of people say, "Ooh, that's a big stretch." It is a big stretch, especially down here. And that's where you're going to want to take it slow and get good hand positioning. You're not going to play with your guitar, that low. You're going to get it up a little bit higher. 1, 3, 5, 6. Got to know your formulas, the intervals, and then play the chord. And again, now I'm starting to already just feel it. Make some music from this G6 chord. And I'm just minor, major. And again, that's, to me, the fun part. Now I'm just kind of thinking like a swing song. Practicing major to minor. As many of you know, I always say practice major to minor. And then I always say minor to diminish, or, just you want to do these little tricks of staying on one root note. So again, here's the G6. Now I'm going to be a little bit more simplified. Okay. Rarely do I ever play that up and down just like that. Me, I want to make some music, add some swing, add some rhythm, etc. I just demonstrate that. So again, 1, 3, but make sure, I'm going to reiterate this again. Make sure you know your formulas. So if I said, where's a 6? Know where that 6 is, okay? The 6 is the same whether it's major 6 or minor 6. Again, I'm just starting you right now on the 6 arpeggios, and then minor 6. The only thing that changes is the third. You flat your third. So G, B flat. That's 1 flat 3, 5. That's your triad. 6. Da 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 da. Try to be able to sing it. Da 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 da. And target that 6. No, that was a 4. Don't hit the 4. But now let's go on. Again, I'm just demonstrating this. Major 7. Pretty. When I think of jazz standards, I'm always thinking really leaning on that 7th. So Major 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. That's your formula. Here's a triad, 1, 3, 5. Now you can see why I always say know your triads first. That's the foundation. 1, 3, 5, 7. And yes, I often slide into that major 7 from a half step below or a whole step below. It's just so pretty. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. Again, it's not important that you blaze through it. Just get accurate. Learn to target these notes. So when you are jamming, minor 6. Major 7. So again, you're feeling and hearing those 6s and 7s and colors. Okay, these beautiful chords. So now when we have a dominant 7, and always hit the chord. Okay, that's kind of the whole process here is hit the chord with the arpeggio. Now you flat the 7. And that's G dominant 7, or just G7. A B flat 7. So now I'm just kind of demonstrating A7. Again, rarely are you going to go up 3 octaves or 2 octaves in a third, but it's just nice for practice so that you start to isolate these and start to improvise and make some music. But you might just stay exclusively on the 4, 3, 2 strings. And I'm hitting a 13 chord, by the way, but I'm playing G7. Sometimes I play G13. And that's the thing is that you can start to add those extensions in the 9 and the 13 and start to color it up. Okay. So again, that's important that you can just go G major 7, G dominant 7, G minor 7. Well, what changes now? You flat the 3. G minor 7 and hit the chord. Minor 7 flat 5, you flat the 5th. Okay, hit the chord. Now, ready for this? G dim 7. The dim 7. You might say, I never see a dim 7 on the chart when you're looking at a jazz standard. Probably not too often, really. I mean, certain songs, one that comes to my mind is How Insensitive or Wave, a lot of gypsy bossa nova. In the old swing tunes, usually it's just majors, minor, and dominant. But the diminished are often used as a substitute for the dominant, okay? So that's why it's going to be so important. So check it out right here if you want to follow along with me. We can put play on in a second. That one's tricky. You got to cross over. A lot of guitar players get used to playing the diminished like this. The diagonal method, I call it. And I like that. That's great for certain things, but it's nice to stay in position. So definitely really practice this one. And this requires kind of a big stretch here. I'm always talking about this. It's a big stretch, so be careful of your hands, okay? So that was it. That concludes the 6-string root arpeggio shapes, okay? And then now we can push play if you want to play along with the sound slice. Turn down a little bit here. It repeats twice. Minor 6. 3. And 3, 4. You can descend. Dominant 7. Actually here, it's easier if we have the metronome on too, so we're all playing it together. Each one repeats twice. Of course, descend 2. That's what I will say at the very bottom of this. Here's major 4. Dominant 7. Just a test. Can you do it in time? Of course, you can practice 7 flat 5. a sound slice practice video. Again, what I do recommend is that you go up and back down just to be able to do it. Not saying you're going to be doing that because I don't know. I don't want to hear somebody do that when they're soloing. It sounds like an exercise. I just want to hear the color, the music from that, but not just somebody running up and down an arpeggio. Those are just etudes and stuff. Okay, so make music from it is what I'm saying. So now we're going to go to the fifth string root. Again, I won't make this video long. It's already too long, probably. So thanks. Type in the chat too if you like these, because that's the only way I know if I want to continue with these live streams. C6. Pretty. 1 3 5 6. 1 3 5 6. And just know where that 6 is. C minor 6. Ooh, Gypsy Jazzers love this one. And that, see, it sounds pretty cool just running up and down it too. So those are your major 6 and minor 6 arpeggios. 1 3 5 6. 1 3 5 6. Break it into small chunks. Those are what I call the easy arpeggios. Descending. Minor 6. You flat the 3. Listen to this. That's pretty. Okay, so, and then we've got the major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, flat 5, and the dim 7. These are your 7th chords, your 5 types of 7th chords that you're going to encounter in Autumn Leaves. All the things you are. Fly Me to the Moon. Your favorite jazz standard. C major 7. Hit the chord, then go 1 3 5 7. Next octave. And again, if you look at my other studies, I label that as easy arpeggios, where I just show you 1 octave only. That's a very important study you should not overlook. This is just combining them, okay, to 2 octaves, essentially. I mean, we're going up to the 7th. And then dominant 7, flat your 7. But stop on that 7 so you know where the color is. Get that flat 7 quality. Now minor 7, we're going to flat the 3 from the dominant. So we got minor 7 chord, 1 flat 3 5, your triad, flat 7. Next octave. So you can see I wrote the formulas here: 1 flat 3 5 flat 7, 1 flat 3 5 flat 7. Make sure you start off again 1 octave only. That's what I nickname easy arpeggios. Don't just go straight to the 2 octaves. Make a lot of music and practice these songs where you're just staying in 1 octave only and trying to get through the changes. Okay. Minor 7 flat 5. We're almost done. It's easy. 1 flat 3 flat 5. That's a dim triad. And then the flat 7. And then we go up an octave. F sharp minor 7 flat 5. You can do some sweeping. Jamie Bruno calls that testicular picking. I call it sweep picking. That's generally if you want to do that. These are great for sweeping. Now we have C dim 7. We love that one too. Great for testicular picking. And play the chord. If you're a gypsy jazzer, you probably already know your dim 7 arpeggios. Be sure to practice ascending and descending on all 12 notes. Basically, just go through every chord. And why? Why is that important? Because it feels different. If you play G major 7 here, it's going to feel different than up here. The frets are smaller now. Okay, so you want to practice it all over the fretboard. I just say go chromatically. Sometimes I'll say go in fourths, go in whole steps, go in minor thirds, go in different intervals, But then you're just going to apply it to songs and start to connect these. And you're not just going to do the exercise. You're going to try to make some music from it. So again, that's what this study is all about, just mastering those arpeggios. I was demonstrating night and day. I think I did this. Let's see if you guys know the song. F sharp minor 7, flat 5, F minor 7, E minor 7, E flat dim 7, I think of you, G7, night and day. So you can do this as an exercise. That's a dim 7. Whether near me or far, so matter, darling, where you are, I think of you night and day. And again, now you're navigating through those changes that are switching quickly, and it's fun. You're playing the changes besides just running up and down a blues scale or the mode, the outline. This is basically called outlining. And you should treat it like it's a game. It's a little fun game. Can I outline through the changes of the song? And that's one of the important studies to do. And yes, I did use a substitution. And that's one of my favorite things to do on a 2-5, on a D minor 7 to the G7. I did D minor 7. Then for the G7, I diminish the D, the 2, so it becomes a 2 diminished. And then the 1. And that's where I say diminish it. These are just what I call strategies, soloing strategies. Check out my lessons on Girl from Ipanema or A Train. I always say diminish the 1. Then that's your 2 dominant with the flat 9. Once you learn these type of tricks, and it's also the flat, it's also the 7 too. So if you're in C, I'll say, let's see, what's the song? Meditation. Right? You all know that song? It goes C major 7 to B7. If you want to do the sub, you go C major 7. It's really C6. In my loneliness. You take the 1 and you just diminish it. So C6 or major 7, then diminish it. Then back to C major. There I did a major 7. And now I'm just navigating through the changes, doing my testicular picking. So again, that's the application. It's just fun. It's fun to play the changes with broken up in arpeggio. You're arpeggiating the changes instead of just playing the chords. You're just making them as single notes, ideally trying to connect them into some sort of nice, beautiful melody that people will be singing all day long. Any comments? Graham, good to see you. We got a lesson coming up on Thursday, I think. Jeffrey, long time no see. It's good to see some of you. I don't see my Canadian buddy, Chris, eh? Anyone else here? Well, thanks again. I'm excited to start up the live streams again. I got busy with wedding season and gigs, but I'm going to try to work it in my schedule just to do these short 30 to 45-minute live streams covering some of the materials that I share on Patreon every day. If you're not a Patreon member, there's a free tier where I put stuff like this out there. And then, of course, there's the three other tiers. If you want a private lesson, that's the diamond tier. All right. Any other questions, comments? Yesterday, I posted one on All Blues, Miles Davis. It's a short one because I had a session today on that, and I was prepping for it. Some materials. It's on Patreon. And, don't forget to do this if you enjoy these live streams. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to talk about some switching keys. That's another topic that comes up often is how do you switch keys so it's effortless and smooth? And I have a method for that I was talking about today with a student that I like to share. And I'll share some of the materials, free tabs. Free tabs. And then hopefully you'll check it out and track and get your loop pedal and practice along with me. What else do I want to talk about? Sight reading. I think that's been a topic that's always ongoing for a lot of folks is to get better at sight reading. Analysis of songs. There's a lot of beautiful songs. I want to talk about modulation schemes because this helps me when I'm on a gig trying to memorize songs so I don't have to look at the iReal Pro or a chart, is I want to be able to understand the modulations so I can play it in any key. and also so I could solo easily by understanding the progression. All right, well, I think that's about it. And then we'll do some, of course, some classic rock soloing too, some Zeppelin and Hendrix or Clapton, whatever you want to do. Just leave a message in the comments. So that's it. You guys got your arpeggios. You want to do it one more time with me? Let's do it. G major 7. And sometimes I just want to say this now. I'll stop on the 7th. I won't go all the way up to the 3rd. That to me is a little bit more. That's a little bit more pleasant to my ear. I love the 3rd degree. Don't get me wrong, especially for chord melody. But I'll often just kind of stop on the 7th or the 6th degree. That way, I target those desired notes. So for G major 7, G dominant 7, G minor 7, G minor 7 flat 5, G dim 7. That's the double flat 7 or the 6. G6, G minor 6. Notice I'm just really emphasizing that 6th degree. So again, those are all the 7th chords, the 5 7th chords, and the 2 6 chords. Diminished 7 is really a double flat 7 or 6, so it can be thought of as a 6 chord too. So it's up to you. I like to think of it as a 6 chord, but most theorists will say it's a double flat 7. C major 7. See that 7 on top? C dominant 7. And of course, know your chord, minor 7. Minor 7 flat 5. Let me do it again. Hit the chord, diminished 7. Major 6. This one's a big stretch. Do it slow. 1 3 5 6. 1 3 5 6. Okay, don't hurt yourself. Minor 6. Go up here, F major 7. F minor 7. E minor 7. E dim 7. D minor 7. D diminished. C diminished 7. Oh, what? What am I doing? C major 7. I'm not sure what song I think I was hearing this in my head. It's fun. Arpeggios are so fun when you're playing jazz guitar standards. Thanks for watching, guys. Good to see you. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.